Section 1.4 Other Effective Sampling Methods. We will look at these objectives in this section. The first objective is to obtain a stratified sample. A stratified sample is one obtained by separating the population into homogeneous or similar, non-overlapping groups called strata, and then obtaining a simple random sample from each stratum. The individuals within each stratum should be homogeneous or similar in some way. Let's look at an example of obtaining a stratified sample. In 2008, the United States Senate had 47 Republicans, 51 Democrats, and 2 Independents. The President wants to have a luncheon with 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats, and 1 other. Obtain a stratified sample in order to select members who will attend the luncheon. To obtain the stratified sample, conduct a simple random sample within each group. That is, obtain a simple random sample of 4 Republicans from the original 47, a simple random sample of 4 Democrats from the 51, and a simple random sample of 1 and a simple random sample of 1 other from the total 100 of each. From the total 100, and a simple random sample of 1 other from the 100 total, which included Republicans, Democrats, and the Independents. Be sure to use a different seed for each stratum. Objective 2. Objective 2, we want to obtain a systematic sample. A systematic sample is obtained by selecting every kth individual from the population. The first individual selected is a random number between 1 and k. So let's look at an example of obtaining a systematic sample. A quality control engineer wants to obtain a systematic sample of 25 bottles coming off a A quality control engineer wants to obtain a systematic sample of 25 bottles coming off a filling machine to verify the machine is working properly. Design a sampling technique that can be used to obtain a sample of 25 bottles. To do this, let's look at the steps in systematic sampling when the population size is known. The first step is to determine the population size, n. The second step is to determine the sample size desired, little n. Step 3, we want to compute the population size divided by the sample size and round down to the nearest integer. This value will be k. Step 4 is to randomly select a number between 1 and k, and we'll call this number p. Step 5, the sample will then consist of the following individuals. So let's look at a quick example. If I start out with a population of size 2,000, so let's look at a quick example. If I start out with a population of, let's say, our population is size 20,325, and I want to look for a sample of size 100. Then I need to compute my population divided by my sample size. So I want to take 20,325 and divide that by 100. And we get 203.25. And remember that we want to round down to the nearest integer, and that will be our value k. So for our purposes here, k will be equal to 203. So we randomly select a number between 1 and k, so between 1 and 203, and we'll call this number p. So let's just say that p equals the number 90. Then our sample will consist of 90. Then we want to take 90 plus k, 90 plus 203. So we have 293. Then we take 90 plus 2 times 203, and we get 496. And we'll continue this so on until we get our 100th entry. Until we get our 100th number, which would be 20,187. Objective 3 is to obtain a cluster sample. A cluster sample is obtained by selecting all individuals within a randomly selected collection or group of individuals. Let's look at an example. A school administrator wants to obtain a sample of students in order to conduct a survey. She randomly selects 10 classes and administers the survey to all the students in the class. So the 10 classes are our clusters. Here's a picture that will help you see the differences between the 4 types of sampling we've looked at. The last type is a convenience sample. It is one in which the individuals in the sample are easily obtained. You need to use caution, however. Any studies that use this type of sampling generally have results that are suspect. Results should be looked upon with extreme skepticism. So in this example, let's look at multi-stage sampling. In practice, most large-scale surveys obtain samples using a combination of the techniques just presented. As an example of multi-stage sampling, consider Nielsen media research. Nielsen randomly selects households and monitors the television programs these households are watching through a people meter. The meter is an electronic box placed on each TV within the household. The people meter measures what program is being watched and who is watching it. Nielsen selects the households with the use of a two-stage sampling process. Stage 1, using U.S. Census data, Nielsen divides the country into geographic areas, or strata. The strata are typically city blocks in urban areas and geographic regions in rural areas. About 6,000 strata are randomly selected. Stage 2, Nielsen sends representatives to the selected strata and lists the households within the strata. The households are then randomly selected through a simple random sample. Nielsen then sells the information obtained to television stations and companies. These results are used to help determine prices for commercials.